Gennady Ivanovich Padalka is a Russian Air Force officer and an RKA cosmonaut. Padalka has spent 879 days in space, more than any other person. He worked on both Mir and the International Space Station. Personal. Padalka is married to Irina Anatolyevna Padalka. They have 3 daughters, Yulia, Ekaterina, and Sonia. He enjoys the theater, parachute sport and diving. Education and training. Padalka graduated from Yeisk Military Aviation College in 1979. After graduation, he served as a pilot and later a senior pilot in the Russian Air Force, eventually attaining the rank of colonel. He has logged 1,500 flight hours in 6 types of aircraft as a first-class pilot in the Russian Air Force. In addition, he has performed more than 300 parachute jumps as an instructor of general parachute training. Padalka also worked as an engineer ecologist at the UNESCO International Center of Instruction Systems until 1994. He is an investigator for the Advanced Diagnostic Ultrasound in Microgravity project, a U.S. government-funded study investigating strategies for applying diagnostic telemedicine to space. Awards. Padalka is a recipient of the Hero Star of the Russian Federation and the title of Russian Federation Test Cosmonaut. He is decorated with Fatherland Service Medal 4th class, medals of the Russian Federation and also Medal of the International Fund of Cosmonautics Support for Service to Cosmonautics. Padalka is a prize winner of the Russian Federation government in the field of science and technology. Cosmonaut career. Gennady Padalka was selected as a cosmonaut candidate to start training at the Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center in 1989. From June 1989 to January 1991, he attended basic space training and in 1991 was qualified as a test cosmonaut. Mir mission. On 13 August 1998, Gennady launched with Sergei Avdeyev aboard Soyuz trademark 28 to become the crew of Mir Expedition 26, whose primary mission was to make repairs to life support systems and prepare the station for deorbit, which was to take place after Expedition 27. On 8 February 1999 at 11:23 GMT, Padalka and Avdeyev undocked from Mir's export in Soyuz trademark 28, and redocked at the Plus X KVANT port at 11:39 GMT, freeing up the front port for the Soyuz trademark 29 docking. He returned to Earth on board the Soyuz trademark 28 capsule on 28 February 1999. The Soyuz trademark 28 undocked from the KVANT rear docking port on 27 February at 22:52 GMT and landed in Kazakhstan on 28 February at 2:14 GMT. Padalka accumulated 198 days and 16 hours of space travel during the mission. ISS missions from June 1999 to July 2000. Padalka trained for a spaceflight on a Soyuz trademark transport vehicle as an ISS contingency crew commander. From August 2000 to November 2001, he trained for a spaceflight as the Expedition 4 backup crew commander. In March 2002, Padalka was assigned as commander of the ISS Expedition 9 crew. Expedition 9 was launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome, Kazakhstan aboard the Soyuz TMA-4 spacecraft, and docked with the ISS on 21 April 2004. Following a week of joint operations and handover briefings, they replaced the Expedition 8 crew who returned to Earth. In a 6-month tour of duty aboard the station, Padalka continued ISS science operations, maintained station systems, and performed 4 spacewalks. The Expedition 9 mission concluded after undocking and landed back in Kazakhstan on 23 October 2004. In completing this mission, Padalka logged an additional 187 days, 21 minutes and 17 seconds in space, and 15 hours, 45 minutes and 22 seconds of EVA time. Expedition 1920's Padalka returned to the ISS in 2009 to serve as commander of Expeditions 19 and 20. He commanded the Soyuz TMA-14 spacecraft, which was launched from Baikonur on 26 March 2009 and docked with the ISS 2 days later. Padalka also commanded the first six-person space station crew, returning to Earth on the 11th of October 2009. In May 2012, Padalka returned to the ISS for a third time. He served as a flight engineer as part of Expedition 31 before graduating to command Expedition 32. He launched to the ISS aboard Soyuz TMA-04M on 15 May 2012, along with fellow crew members Sergei Revin and Joseph Akaba, and arrived at the space station on 17 May at 4:36 UTC. He, along with Revin and Akaba, returned to Earth on 17 September 2012. Padalka returned to the ISS aboard Soyuz TMA-16M during Expedition 43 and Expedition 44, along with Mikhail Kornienko and Scott Kelly. He landed on Soyuz TMA-16M on 12 September 2015. Padalka set the record for most time in space of anyone in history. Padalka is scheduled to fly again to the ISS in September 2018 aboard Soyuz MS-10 spacecraft. He will spend 6 months on board as flight engineer of Expedition 57 and later as commander of Expedition 58. After this flight he will accumulate more than 1,000 days in orbit. Spacewalks. On 15 September 1998, Padalka performed the first spacewalk of his career during a stay aboard Mir, along with Sergei Avdeyev. After donning spacesuits, the PKHO compartment of the Mir core module was depressurized and the spacewalkers entered the dead SPEKTR module at 2000 GMT. The crew reconnected some cables for the solar panel steering mechanism and closed the hatch a half-hour later. The PKHO was then repressurized after a spacewalk which lasted 30 minutes. On 10 November 1998, Padalka and Avdeyev again ventured out into space. The two made the EVA from the KVANT-2 airlock on Mir. The starting time of the spacewalk was at 1924 GMT. The two spacewalking cosmonauts installed a meteoroid detector in for the upcoming Leonid shower, and hand-launched the Sputnik 41 amateur radio mini-satellite. The spacewalk concluded at 1:18 GMT on the 11th of November, clocking a total time of 5 hours and 54 minutes. Padalka's third spacewalk was performed on 24 June 2004 from the ISS's PIR's docking compartment. The spacewalk was cut short due to a spacesuit malfunction of his fellow spacewalking partner, NASA astronaut Michael Fink. After Fink egressed, within minutes flight controllers noticed a decrease in pressure in his primary oxygen tank. Although the spacewalk was planned for 6 hours, as a result of the problems it only lasted 14 minutes. On 30 June 2004, Padalka performed his fourth spacewalk along with astronaut Michael Fink. The duo successfully repaired a faulty circuit breaker on the space station an hour ahead of the schedule. During the repair job, the two spacewalkers replaced a failed device called the Remote Power Control Module that had cut off power to its gyroscope. The spacewalk lasted 5 hours and 40 minutes. On the 3rd of August 2004, Gennady Padalka and Mike Fink again left the space station to install communications gear and replace space exposure experiments on the outside of the Zvezda service module. The spacewalk was conducted from the PIR's docking compartment airlock and commenced when Padalka and Fink opened the outer hatch of the airlock at 6:58 GMT. During the spacewalk, the two spacewalkers removed 6 obsolete laser reflectors used for docking and replaced 4 of them with newer versions. A crew also installed 2 antennas to allow the automated transfer vehicle to communicate with the space station and removed a cable from a faulty television camera. The 4-hour 20-minute excursion out of the ISS marked Padalka's 5th career spacewalk. Padalka completed his 6th career spacewalk on the 3rd of September 2004 when he and Mike Fink ventured out into space. The spacewalk took place outside the Zvezda module. Padalka and Fink began the spacewalk at 16:43 GMT, after emerging from the PIR's airlock. On the Zarya module, the two spacewalkers replaced a pump control panel that measures the module's coolant levels. They also installed 3 communications antennas at its aft end of the Zvezda module. The spacewalk lasted 5 hours and 21 minutes. Padalka completed his 7th career spacewalk on the 5th of June 2009. He and NASA astronaut Michael Barrett egressed outside the ISS beginning at 7:52 UTC, to install docking system antennas and cabling to accommodate the Mini Research Module 2. The spacewalk began at an hour behind schedule because of higher than expected carbon dioxide levels in the spacesuits. The spacewalk ended when the 2 crew members returned to the PIR's docking compartment airlock at 12:46 GMT. The spacewalk lasted 4 hours and 54 minutes. On the 10th of June 2009, Gennady Padalka and Michael Barrett entered the transfer compartment in the Zvezda module. The internal spacewalk began 10 minutes behind schedule because of initial problems with pressure inside the airlock, which did not fall as fast as expected. While they were not in open space outside the ISS, Padalka and Barrett had to wear space suits in the depressurized compartment. During the 12-minute spacewalk, the 2 crew members moved a docking mechanism to accommodate the MRM-2. The event marked the 8th career spacewalk for Padalka. On the 20th of August 2012, Padalka, together with cosmonaut Yuri Malenchenko, participated in his 9th career spacewalk. Tasks assigned to the 2 cosmonauts included hardware relocations, installations, retrievals, and deployments. For the spacewalk, Malenchenko donned an all-in spacesuit with the blue stripe. The duration of the spacewalk was 5 hours and 51 minutes. The spacewalk was delayed for about an hour due to a small leak between space station modules. The spacewalk started from the PIR's docking compartment module at 15:37 GMT. The first task for Padalka and Malenchenko was to relocate the SDRELA-2 boom from the PIR's module to the forward end of the Zarya module. The relocation was needed since PIR's module will be detached from the space station in the future for the arrival of the new multi-purpose laboratory module Nauka. The next task completed by Padalka and Malenchenko was to deploy a 21-inch diameter spherical satellite. The 2 cosmonauts also retrieved 5 debris shields from the PIR's module prior to installing them on the Zvezda module. They also completed several get-ahead tasks as the duo were about an hour ahead of the timeline. They retrieved an external experiment called Barisk from the PIR's module for return to Earth, and for added stability installed 2 structural support struts between the PIR's module and the EVA ladder. Padalka and Malenchenko then both ingressed the PIR's module, prior to closing the hatch and beginning the repressurization procedure, to end a successful spacewalk.